Hello friends, let's talk about rules for drawing the Lewis structure of complicated molecules and polyatomic ions. Recall in the last video, we paid attention to showing how to draw the Lewis structures of simple molecules like chlorine gas, bromine gas, iodine gas, fluorine gas, and all of those diatomic molecules of the halogen family. But going forward, it is important to know that we will come in contact with some molecules that seem to be complicated as to depicting their Lewis structures. Even what we call polyatomic ions, ions that are comprising of two or more elements or more than one element or atom. So for us to be able to draw their Lewis structures appropriately and seamlessly, there is need for us to follow a stepwise process or procedure. We will not just draw it appropriately, mark my word, we will be able to draw it seamlessly. All right? So this stepwise procedure we must follow in drawing the Lewis structure of a given molecule or polyatomic ion are outlined as follows. The first thing you are going to do if you want to start drawing the Lewis structure of a molecule, whether complicated, whether it's polyatomic ion, is to first of all determine or calculate or deduce the total number of valence electrons for the entire molecule. Recall, if you have polyatomic ions, if it's a cation, it means it's lost electron. So pay attention to the charge. If it's +2, it means that particular molecule lost 2 electrons. Therefore, in calculating the total number of valence electron in such a molecule that has +2 charge, what you do is that you subtract 2 electrons from the total number of the valence electrons. If it is the opposite, like in the case of carbonate where you have CO3 2-, the 2- simply means that this particular polyatomic ion gained 2 extra electrons. So to determine the total number of valence electrons in such a polyatomic ion, you you add 2 electrons to it, since it gained 2 electrons to become negatively charged. Very important. So after you've been able to determine the total number of valence electrons for the entire molecule or the polyatomic ion as the case may be, you move to the next step, which is to determine which of the elements in that molecule or polyatomic ion should be placed in the center or the heart of the skeleton of that Lewis structure you're about to draw. All right? So still using carbonate ion as an example, you have 2 elements in there, in that polyatomic ion, carbon and oxygen. I always tell my students and learners, there are 3 signposts, 3 key signposts that will help you to establish and say for sure, out of these 2 elements, this one should be placed at the heart or the center of the skeleton of the Lewis structure we want to represent. What am I saying? The first signpost you must look out for, ask yourself, which of the 2 elements or atoms will make the most number of bonds? Remember, I told you the total number of bonds an element can make is equal to the total number of electrons it requires to attain its octet. Oxygen has 6 valence electrons, requires 2 electrons to fulfill its octet. Thereby, 2 bonds always want to go out or go into the oxygen. So oxygen atom always like to make 2 bonds. You ask yourself for carbon. Carbon has the 4 electrons in the valence shell. Therefore, carbon will want to, requires 4 electrons to fulfill its octet. That is why carbon shows tetravalency. It always wants to make 4 bonds. So suffice it to say that oxygen makes 2 bonds ultimately, carbon makes 4 bonds ultimately. So the question is, the first signpost is which of the two elements makes the most bond. So whichever one that makes the most bond is most likely to be the one that will be at the heart or the centrally placed in the skeleton of the Lewis structure. So if it is for carbonate ion, that means that carbon should be in the center, while 3 atoms of oxygen forms what we call the terminal atoms, atoms that now surround the centrally placed elements. So first thing, determine the total number of valence electrons. Second thing, determine the element to be placed in the center of the skeleton of the Lewis structure. Another signpost, that's the first signpost. The one that makes the most bond is the first signpost. The second signpost I always tell my students to pay attention to, which also helps to collaborate the first signpost, is ask yourself which of the two elements is the less electronegative. You will agree with me that carbon is less electronegative, or rather, carbon is more electropositive than oxygen. If that is correct, that means that oxygen is more electronegative than carbon. So any of the element that is less electronegative will be centrally placed. So that carbon is less electronegative than what? Oxygen. That also corroborates the fact that carbon makes more bond than what? Oxygen. So carbon should be centrally placed. To nail it completely, to beat your hand in your chest and say it must be carbon that will be centrally placed if you are dealing with carbonate ion, is the third thing I always tell my students. The first element in the molecule is usually the centrally placed element in the molecule. So you see it, carbon comes before oxygen, so carbon. So that is the third point, that's the third signpost. This is important because you need to know that hydrogen can never be centrally placed in a Lewis structure. Why? Because hydrogen can only make one bond. All right? So pay attention to that. After you've been able to determine the element to be centrally placed, you go on to attach the remaining atoms. Okay? When you place carbon, for instance, here at the center, you attach the other atoms, okay, with using a single covalent bond. Remember, every single covalent bond carries 2 electrons. So you now join the central atom to the other atoms known as the terminal atoms. All right. In this case, the 3 oxygen atoms becomes those atoms surrounding the centrally placed atom are known as the terminal atoms. So you now join the central atom to the terminal atom using single covalent bond. Nice. After you have done that, you know that those single covalent bond represents double shared pair of electrons. So you calculate the number of electrons used to make those bonds. Okay? Subtract it from the total number of valence electrons. That now tells you the total number of non-bonding electrons. Okay? Those electrons that were not involved in the bond formation is what you now distribute. All right? You use those electrons that were not, that's remaining after you've made the bond. First of all, use it to satisfy the octets of the terminal atoms first. Remember, the terminal atoms are those atoms that surround the central atoms. So when you have been able to satisfy the octet of all the terminal atoms, you move to the step 4, which tells us to place the remaining electrons on the central atom. So if you still have electrons remaining, you place them as lone pairs on the central atom. When you have done that and you still didn't satisfy the octet of the central atom, the next thing that should come to your mind is start thinking about the possibility of creating a multiple bond, a double bond, a triple bond, as case may be. The ultimate idea is to satisfy the octet of all the atoms in that molecule. So if you placed extra lone pairs of electron on the central atom, or place the extra electron on the central atom, and it still didn't satisfy the octet of the central atom, then you are going to pick a lone pair of one of the terminal atoms, use it to make a double bond, another covalent bond, joining that terminal atom to the centrally placed atom. When you do this, you are most likely going to have the octets of all the atoms involved in that molecule complete. In some other instances, when that do not happen, you also pick two lone pair of electrons from another terminal atom and join it up, perhaps to make the triple bond, which we will talk about in the next video. All right, so when you've been able to satisfy the octet of all the atoms, the central atom and the terminal atoms, everybody is okay. The next thing you have to do, if you are dealing with a polyatomic ion, is to place everything in a square bracket, in a bracket, and ask yourself, which charge was that polyatomic ion carrying ab initio? Remember to place the charge it carries ab initio, the net charge, outside the bracket as a superscript. Pay attention to that. So the first example they gave us here is they said, determine the Lewis structures of silane molecule and carbonate ion. So we're going to do that quickly. So the first one is silane. Okay, silane is silicon bonded to hydrogen. Of course, hydrogen here has atomicity of 4. So first thing is to determine the total number of valence electrons. Silicon, of course, silicon has the atomic number Z equal to 14. So electron distribution is 2, 8, and 4. K, L, and M shell. So here the total number of valence electron for silicon, okay, is 4. But for hydrogen, okay, the valence electron will always be 1. But pay attention to the fact that hydrogen is 4 here. So therefore, you now ask yourself, the valence electron for silicon is 4. Brackets, the valence electron of hydrogen is 1. But we have 4. The atomicity of hydrogen here is 4. So it's 4 bracket 1, which will give us what? Okay, 4 plus 4 times 1 is 4, which is equal to total number of 8 valence electrons. So we are working with 8 valence electron in the silane molecule. So next thing you're going to ask yourself, which one is it, silicon or hydrogen, that should be centrally placed? First and foremost, silicon is the first element that gives it an upper edge to be the centrally placed element. Again, silicon is the less electronegative, okay, in this mix, okay. And another thing is that silicon, okay, will make the most bond. Hydrogen will only make 1 bond, but silicon will make 4 bonds. So silicon has been established here to be the centrally placed, to be the what? The centrally placed element, okay? Now, in the skeletal system or structure, you now surround it with the 4 atoms of what? Hydrogen. When you have done that, join all of them with single covalent bond. Remember, this hydrogen is a terminal atom, this is a terminal atom, this is a terminal atom, this is a terminal atom. So you join all the terminal atoms to the central atom using a single covalent bond. Remember, every single covalent bond represents a shared pair of electrons. That's 2 electrons. So in all, what you have here is that you have satisfied the octet of silicon, 2, 4, 6, 8. So silicon now has 8 electrons. Of course, hydrogen can only make 1 covalent bond because hydrogen requires just 1 electron to satisfy its duplet. All right, hydrogen wants to become like the next noble gas, which is helium. So it just needs only 2 electrons. So hydrogens are okay. Remember, the technologies that hydrogen atoms here are the terminal atoms, while the centrally placed atom is satisfied. So you can as well depict this way. Si, you have a shared pair of electron, you have a shared pair of electron, you have a shared pair of electron, and you have a shared pair of electron. This is also the Lewis structure of silane molecule, but this is a preferred Lewis structure. So that is the step that terminates, or that is the step that's where we stop for this particular molecule. Then if we want to draw the Lewis structure of carbonate ion, okay, CO3 2-. First of all, let's determine the total number of valence electrons in the molecule. You discover that carbon has the valence electron, 4 valence electrons, oxygen will always have 6 valence electrons. In this case, we have 3 atoms of hydrogen. The atomicity of hydrogen is what? It's 3. Nice. So, but because it has 2 minus, it means it gained 2 extra electrons, so we're adding 2 because it's a polyatomic ion. If it is plus, we remove 2. Alright? So when you do that, you now have that 4 plus 3 times this is 18 plus 2 is equal to 24 valence electrons. So we are working with 24 valence electrons. Now ask yourself, which of these 2 elements should be centrally placed? Is it carbon or oxygen? Carbon is the first element in the formula, gives it an edge. Carbon is less electronegative. Carbon is more electropositive than oxygen. Oxygen is more electronegative. All right. So the less electronegative element, carbon, collaborates the point that is the first element. Then to nail it and to get it established is that carbon makes 4 bonds while oxygen makes 2 bonds. So carbon makes the most bonds. So that way we can beat our chest and say that carbon will be centrally placed in this structure, Lewis structure of this polyatomic ion. So how many oxygen atoms do we have? We have 3. You place 1 here, then place the other 2 here, just like you have in a triangle. In the next lecture series, I'm going to talk about the molecular geometry and VSEPR theory. That way you understand why we decide to use this arrangement, triangular arrangement, in terms of placing the terminal atoms around, okay, the central atoms. Okay, you place it this way. When you have done that, next thing we are going to do is remember to use a single covalent bond, okay, to join the terminal atoms to the what? To the central atom. Very, very critical. When you have done that, remember, you have used up 2, 4, 6 electrons. So you say 24 minus 6 will give us 18 valence electrons remaining. 18 valence electrons remaining. So what you now do when you have attached the central atoms to the terminal atoms is to now try to satisfy the octet of the terminal atoms first. All right? Using the remaining valence electron, in which case we have 18 electrons. So those lone pairs of electrons will be shown now, trying to satisfy the octets of all the 3 terminal oxygen atoms. All right, so we are going to place 1 lone pair here. We are using up 18. So 2, 4, 6. Okay, that guy is good. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 12, 14, 16, and 18. Okay? When you do that, you discover that you've been able to satisfy the octets of all the 3 oxygen atoms. But if you pay close attention, you discover that carbon is not yet okay, because carbon have 2, 4, 6 electrons, and carbon will always want to make 4 bonds. That means it requires to have 8 electrons to satisfy its own octet. So this is not okay. All right. So the next thing to do, once you get to this point, after all the terminal atoms have been satisfied, the octet has been satisfied, in order to satisfy the octet of the centrally placed atom, you use one of the lone pairs of one of the terminal atoms to make another covalent bond, to double up the bonds. And when you do this, you are going to have something like this. You now have carbon, of course, your oxygen 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, you have this oxygen 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, then you now have double bond here. All right, because you have used one of the lone pairs on the terminal oxygen atom here. Okay, so you have double bond, but in this case, you now have 2 lone pairs of electrons instead of 3, since you have used one of the lone pairs to make a bond. That way, you discover that everybody is satisfied. Okay, 2, 4, remember each bond is 2 electrons, so you have 2, 4, 6, 8. Oxygen is okay, 2, 4, 6, 8, carbon is okay, everybody is okay. Pay attention to the fact that whenever you have a double bond coming out from oxygen, you now have 2 lone pairs remaining. When I have a single bond coming out from oxygen, that oxygen will carry 3 lone pairs of electrons. Pay attention to that. It is a dynamics that is important. So next thing you are going to do is to place this polyatomic structure of this polyatomic ion in a square bracket and ask yourself, what net charge did you have ab initio? 2 minus. Now we have gotten, this is the Lewis structure of this carbonate ion. But I want you to pay attention to something. Now, we decided to move these 2 lone pairs, this lone pair of electrons to make a covalent bond. But that's not the only possibility. We would have chosen to move this lone pair to make a double covalent bond, or even to move any of these to make a double covalent bond. So, the double bond is possible here. The double bond is also possible here. It's also possible that we would have chosen to move this to this place to make a double bond, or would have chosen to move these 2 to make a double bond. That means that the three bonds have the possibility of one of it becoming a double bond. In the next lecture series, I'm going to talk about the phenomenon that explains this possibility, which is known as resonance. Resonance structures are made when you have this kind of possibility of the double bond being in any of the 3 positions as we have in the carbonate ion. So, in the next lecture series, when I'm done with Lewis structures, I'm going to lay strong foundation on how to look at the resonance structures or resonance hybrids of molecules, how to calculate their formal charges, and how to use that to know the chemistries of some of these interesting molecules that we are trying to show their Lewis structure in chemistry. I don't know if you learned anything. If this video made so much sense to you, if it added value to you, kindly like, love, make your comments as to what intrigued you most in this lecture and share it. When you share my videos, what you are doing is that you're encouraging me to do more. We have a lot of students writing us from China, from Korea, from different Botswana, Malawi. Our inbox is laden with a lot of students telling us how interesting we are making chemistry lectures to be, and how some of them who used to find chemistry difficult are beginning to like our pattern of delivering these lectures. That way, to support us in what we are doing in Chem Class with Dr. Luther, kindly love our videos, kindly like it, and most importantly, share it so that many more people, as many students or learners that need it, will get it. I know you learned something. Until the next time, be careful and stay safe. Bye.